We just got done watching the Battleship Potemkin 2 days ago.
2 days ago.
And we're in that ship as we speak.
And notice that we are all wearing red.
Which is indicative of something that we can't really think of.
Communism.
Yes!
Ah!
Communism. There we go.
There we go.
That works.
Yeah.
Well, that just worked out perfectly.
Yeah, so the Battleship Potemkin is a Russian propaganda film from 1927 that's very well known for its techniques and methods, which Starkov can explain very well.
Oh, I can explain very well. Rather not. Let's just talk about how he felt about it.
Okay.
I actually really liked the Battleship Potemkin. Generally, silent films for me are pretty boring, because silent films, by definition, there's really not a lot going on in the dialogue or writing, because there's no dialogue or writing. Anyway, it's really kind of an interesting movie. There's no characters to speak of. There's nobody that sticks out. It's really Harsha. What are you doing?
I don't know.
Yeah, the Battleship Potemkin is supremely entertaining, even without sound, and I actually really enjoyed some of the more important sequences, including the Odessa Steps.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this movie a lot more than I thought I would have. Black and white films, whenever I see that they're on a list of greatest movies of all time, I always think that it has to go above and beyond expectation, as there's no color and there's no dialogue, no extensive dialogue. So so whenever I go into one of the movies, my expectations are pretty high, and I'm not going to say that Battleship Potemkin was absolutely the greatest movie of all time. I mean, yes, there were a lot of advancements, and you can respect how much they progressed, but I don't think it's worthy of being the greatest movie of all time. Yes, it's something that it's a landmark, but it's not a lasting storyline.
I don't know, it is a very impressive movie, especially when you look at it in context. The Odessa Step sequence, yeah, that's definitely, I could see why that would be so, I guess, significant in movie history. But really, I don't know, I don't really like movies that are trying way too hard to push an idea, and watching a propaganda film is inherently that. So I guess I admired this movie for its technical prowess in context, and I don't know, I enjoyed the fact that there were no real main characters. Like, it was a interesting approach, but I don't know, the whole propaganda aspect to it made me a little bit wary.
Agreed.
I don't think it was. I disagree. I think that the propaganda is probably inherently a part of the film, but I didn't think it came across as overbearing. I mean, I think the movie has a genuine message to it, and even if many of the events portrayed in the Battleship Potemkin didn't happen the way that they were claimed to have, for instance, the Odessa Steps never happened. It's at its heart, it's kind of a historical film. I mean, you can see some of this stuff happening. I mean, it portrays an event, and it portrays an event very well. And I sort of like the way that they went around it. And it has an interesting storyline. And even if there aren't any characters that stand out, I think that the flow of the movie is passable and indeed actually very enjoyable.
What I'm gonna compare this movie to is the Battle of Algiers, and both of them depict a revolt. I mean, even the outcomes are different, but the difference is the Battle of Algiers was not one-sided. It was completely unbiased, whereas this was completely supporting the revolution, and they used editing techniques to support that. The editing definitely played a huge part in being biased to one side, and I don't know if I completely agree with that. I didn't like that aspect of it, but it did tell a pretty good tale and of that story.
I don't know. What I felt about this scene, I'm gonna probably step back to Starkov, who was saying that does a very good job of sort of capturing a historical event. I think what it does more is it captures a sort of feeling. I don't know. During the very beginning of the revolution, when they've got the people lined up and covered in a tarp and about to be executed, you definitely sort of feel the tension of that moment, and that this is a very significant thing, and you feel the anger of all the other people. And then during the Odessa step sequence, it's basically the same. You really get this overwhelming emotion that it captures. But I don't know, and it's impressive that the movie is able to do that without any main characters. But I don't know. Even this I sort of saw was a little bit lacking. Like after the Odessa steps and all that happens, and like they bomb the opera house. There's this sequence where the Battleship Potemkin goes after a squadron of ships, and for about like 15 minutes, it's just like everybody sort of doing preparations and stuff, and there's music playing, and I don't think the music really fits to it. It's just, I don't feel like that scene sort of captured the emotion that's as well as the previous scenes.
I would say this movie is a very atypical narrative structure because I don't think narrative structure had evolved to the point where we have it today. I think that the beats of the story happen in very odd ways, like Dan said. I mean, there are really exciting moments. I mean, the Odessa Steps is a great scene because Eisenstein gets a lot across with the way that he contrasts through quick editing the soldiers sort of methodically running down the steps and shooting people, and the people running amok and screaming and having this sort of disorder and sort of, you know, the emotion that you get out of the contrast of those two images. But so that scene's great, but then it is met in between with long scenes of just nothing happening and ships sort of going out to sea, and what looks almost just like historical footage that you're just watching in preparation of something else happening. But I don't think that disqualifies the film as being sort of excellent. I think that's just, I mean, that's the point where narrative structure was at when this movie was being made.
Final thoughts? I wouldn't say that this movie is like stands the test of time. There's a lot of flaws, but at the same time there are a lot of amazing filmmaking, editing. There's just a lot of good things happening, a lot of barriers being broken, and the story the way the story ends just isn't constant with the rest of the movie. So I was a bit disappointed with the end, but still impressed by the rest of the movie.
No, I would agree with Harsha. This isn't exactly a timeless film, but it's a great way to see where sort of cinema has come from.
I would say it's a very interesting film. I don't quite get where the what is it? The apathy is coming from here, but I really enjoyed it, and I think as far as silent films go, it's a great one to watch. It's really very simple. It's not very long, and there's some really great sequences in it that are worth watching.
All right, thanks for watching.